Hello everybody, this is Dr. Mary Barson and welcome to this episode of Low Carb in the Leaves. Keto flu. I'm going back to basics today, and I'm going back to basics because there are lots of fabulous people who have started our 12-week mind-body rebalance program that started on Saturday, and because it's useful to readdress these things from time to time. So the colloquially named keto flu is a collection of symptoms that people can get when they start on a low carb diet. If you go from eating a lot of carbs to eating only a few carbs, or a low carb diet, then your body undergoes these transitions, and sometimes they can be unpleasant. Good morning, everybody. And it's very possible to overcome them. And the treatment for keto flu is very, very simple and straightforward, and I'll go through it. But we need to manage it both physically and we need to manage it in our minds as well. So as a low carb doctor, a weight loss doctor, I see and have seen a lot of people who have perhaps dabbled in low carb, tried it, got some keto flu symptoms and decided, no, this is not for me. Absolutely, it makes me feel rubbish. I can't do it. Or another really common thing that I hear is that I can't afford to be off for a few days. You know, I know that I've got insulin resistance and I'm heading towards type 2 diabetes and I've got fatty liver, and I understand that a low carb diet will help me, but I just cannot, my life is so busy, I cannot afford to have a headache and fatigue for 3 days. I just can't. Or, yeah, sometimes it's more than 3 days, but that is genuinely, and I mean genuinely, what people believe. It's a powerful story in their head, and they think that because there can be this uncomfortable transition from high carb diets to low carb diets and our body adjusting to that, that they can't do it. It's just impossible, and they have to keep going along the path that they are of a high carb diet, even though it's not serving them well. So keto flu is, I think, something that you can in fact celebrate. If you are embarking on a low carb diet, well done, you fabulous human. Sometimes when our body goes from burning primarily sugar for fuel, and when we go to burning fat for fuel, it can take the brain and the body a little while to adjust. As our carbohydrate intake goes down, our insulin in our blood goes down, which is fantastic for your health. Absolutely fantastic. And insulin has a few effects on the body, and one of these transition symptoms is that we start to urinate out a lot more sodium than we were previously, and where sodium goes, so does water, and so we lose a lot of excess fluid. It can result in pretty rapid weight loss, which is great, and that's what people want, but it can just take a little while for us to adjust. Some people get nothing, some people feel a little bit off, some people feel quite unwell with the transition symptoms if they don't manage it properly, and it can be fatigue, headache, fuzziness in the head, sometimes a little bit of nausea, a little bit achy and painy. Kind of, we call it flu-y, but it's not a flu, it's not a respiratory infection, it's not contagious, and it's nowhere near as dangerous as influenza potentially can be. It's mild. So what do you do about it? Well, first of all, you celebrate it in your mind. It's a sign of beautiful things happening. You don't panic because it isn't going to last, and you can manage it by having some extra salt in your diet. You can drink some salt water or have some consommé, some bone broth, some chicken stock, some beef stock. Really tasty ways to get a little bit of extra salt in your diet. Be sure to drink a lot of fluids, and also perhaps having a bit of extra fat in your diet. Now, we do not recommend having extra fat in your diet long term if weight loss is your goal, because that's not helpful. Fat bombs, snacking on wheels of brie, eating slices of butter, putting butter in your coffee, generally not helpful if you're insulin resistant and you want to lose weight long term. But in the transition phase, that can be helpful. You can just get a bit of extra fat into your system while your body is adjusting to being a fat burner, having a little bit of extra fat available can be useful. So this might be the time where you do have a bit of a buttered coffee, or you do have some extra olive oil on your salad, rather than, you know, a nice amount of olive oil. Have a very generous amount. Just for the first few days, few weeks, depending on how you go, and then go back to your lovely, delicious, low-carb real foods, where we don't fear the fat, but you don't need to overdo the fat either. So if you are one of our beautiful people, or if anybody in the world who has had or is having some transition symptoms, feel proud. It's a beautiful, wonderful sign that great things are happening. It won't last. And you're doing great things for your health by transitioning to low carb real food. Bye bye everybody.